confident in doing the introduction?
Oh, sure. I can be.
Yeah, because I'm not.
Welcome. Welcome.
Big podcast money.
Let's talk about it on this podcast.
Let's talk about that. Well, hello and welcome to the Let's Talk About That podcast. Our maiden episode.
The maiden voyage of a long journey through the podcast universe.
Yes. That crazy podcast world. So I'm one of your hosts, Tony.
Yeah, and I'm Martin. If you use the English pronunciations.
Oh, how would you pronounce it?
Martin. It's just harder, faster, maybe. Yeah, it's Martin, not Martin. I feel so. I feel classy when I say it in English. I feel I should wear a suit. Martin.
Yes. Yes, I'm Martin.
Martin. Yeah. Well, my accent is quite different from Tony's, though, because I'm right now sitting in Norway, pretty far away from Tony.
Yeah, at least in distance, but maybe not in not metaphysically. I'm in the United States in Minnesota, which is basically as close to Norway as you can probably get here in the United States.
Absolutely, there's the most Scandinavian state in the U.S., I guess.
Yeah, I believe it. It's all Larsons and Ericssons and
Olsons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I've got a without giving it away, I've got a Finnish last name, so I'm actually Finnish as most of my heritage.
Yeah.
Not that it really has altered my life in any recognizable way. We don't really celebrate it that much, but it's fun.
Yeah, I've noticed you guys are more interested in, or at least you care very much about your heritage in the US rather than we do here in Norway, because I guess we just assume that we're Norwegians, or at least from Scandinavia some way, but you guys have like family or relatives from all around the world going far back, and a family, the close connection in family probably means a lot more to you, or at least you need to know the roots. That the thing is more important to you than to us, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's
at least it seems so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems so over here when we had this TV show that said that Americans come to Norway and explore Norway and their family, and there was crying when there was saw an old house where their great grandfather used to live in, and it was wow, why? And then we realized that maybe it means a lot more to them to have their roots, knowing about the roots where they come from.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's something to that. I've for a while now, I've wanted to make it over and visit Finland.
Yeah, of course.
Because I kind of feel the connection to that part of the world, even though it's not like we necessarily celebrate, or do those sorts of traditions that you might have there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. You have some part of your ancestry that you don't know that much about, and you want to explore it more, maybe. Just to get to know the history of the family. It's quite interesting. But then again, I have to say, Finland is quite different from Norway, even though we're neighbors.
Yeah, I gather some of that. I think I don't know. It always seems like Finland is portrayed as the weird one.
Yeah, because you have in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, we have pretty much the same language. We all understand each other, and then we have Finland on the side. That what are you talking about?
Yes, I went through a little bit of Finnish on Duolingo just to kind of see what it was about, and it's like, oh wow, this is nothing like the Norwegian I
No,
was.
no, it's nothing like that. You know, most of the Western Europe countries, the language is from the German language far back. But then you have Finland, and Finland is something almost on its own. You have Finland, and you have the Sami people in Norway and Finland and Sweden. That's like the native people. They're pretty similar language. And then you have Estonia, and you have one other country. What is it called? Hungary.
Oh, Hungary.
Hungary. Those three countries are the only ones that have that same kind of language, and that is pretty interesting, if you ask me.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. No, if you listen to Finnish and Estonian and Hungarian, it sounds the same.
Really? Okay.
To us, it's from the same family, like Italian and Spanish came from the same language family. It's I will learn about that in school. I don't know if you had that in school.
Yeah, not as much. I'm trying to remember. You know, it is increasingly longer and longer since I've been in school, so kind of blurs.
Yeah. It's
all
weird.
blurs together why I know what I know and from where.
Yeah. But some knowledge is still put, right?
Sorry if you're hearing any noises. We have got our cat is going a little crazy over here.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Okay.
I might have a kid coming up here or something.
Yeah.
But actually, usually quite silent like that.
Yeah, you know they're ninjas.
Yeah, not always. Sometimes they're like elephants in glass houses.
Yeah,
Especially
that is
when
true. If ever
especially-
I'm downstairs and I can hear, you know, our 7-year-old walking around, I'm just like, my gosh, is he just stomping with every step?
Yeah, we ask our 5-year-olds to be a bit quiet, but yeah, it's not that easy.
5-year-olds.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm going to be quiet, and then she just tears down the kitchen or whatever.
Oops.
Yeah, we're living on the opposite side of the globe for each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But we have many similar interests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, it's of course, you know, the interest that brought us together, so to speak, was just that we like to share pictures of the, you know, amateur food that we cooked.
Yeah, because when did your love for cooking start, Tony?
You know, it was really, I think it was something I had a little bit of interest, but, you know, I think like many people, the pandemic, and, you know, it really kind of magnified that interest. And
Yeah.
And also, you know, watching shows like MasterChef and Iron Chef. I've always loved those.
Of course. So you started cooking for real, like during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I did,
Yeah.
you know, we did some very basic things like, you know, tacos and
Yeah.
you know, like a tater tot hot dish, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we also got takeout or went out to eat way too much.
Yeah, that's also a thing in the US. I've read something about it. You guys eat out a lot more than we do. At least here in the smaller towns, cities. I read something about that. It's pretty normal to go out and eat or have takeout at least 2 times a week. Is that right? Or is it just some conspiracy theory?
No, that sounds about right. And actually, my family is is really even more than that. Well, this wasn't always the case. During the pandemic, I think we average, getting one of our meals for takeout most days and cooking for the other one.
Yeah, right.
But that's more than it was before. It's a little different when you're not going into the office, because of course I've been working. Me and my wife have both been working remotely since March of 2020.
Yeah, that's pretty long time.
Yeah, it's different when you're not going in the office and eating lunch there.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and your lunches is also something so different from what we have here. We have our lunches. It's usually bread with cheese or ham or some cured meat or something on,
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to bring with us. I think this comes from when we were so much in the woods and chopping woods. Easy to bring with you some bread and ham or whatever. It's just something that's always been done here. But I've seen some lunch tutorials, if you can call it that, on YouTube, where they're making like they have salads and pasta and chicken nuggets or whatever to lunch. And I feel like, why am I still stuck with bread? I'm so sick of eating bread every day for lunch. I try to spice it up, but again, you're stuck with the bread after a week.
That's interesting. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that we have any sort of like meal that is, sort of the default like that.
No.
Yeah.
See, I don't think you have to go further than to Sweden from here to have a warm lunch at school, for example. We don't have that here, not in most schools anyway. There is bring your own lunch. The school have something that you don't have sweets, no chocolate on the bread and stuff like that. You need to have some greens and whole grain bread maybe. Something like that. They say they want the kids to bring with them some fruits, veggies, or something like that in the lunchbox. And they eat lunch and they're getting a milk or juice or something from the school that we pay for. But other than that, we bring our own lunch to school.
Huh.
At least in the first years. And when you're getting older, there's some canteens and stuff where you're gonna buy food, but there's nothing like the school lunches you have in the US or even UK if you're going there.
Wow, I did not know that actually.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I love the idea of like some nice whole grain bread and sausage and cheese sounds wonderful, but then I don't have to eat it for lunch every day.
Yes,
So
that's exactly that. I'm just tired of eating it. We have a lot of what you call that to have on bread. We have an own word for it in Norwegian. Yeah, I don't know what I should call it in English, but we have a lot of different stuff we put on bread, but you get tired of it in the end.
yeah.
At least I do. My father, for example, he loves eating bread. That's he doesn't care that much for dinner. Warm food. He can, for dinner, he can just take a couple of slices of bread with something on some meat or jam or something, and he is fine. I would get mad if I was offered bread for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds a little light.
Yeah. If dinner, that has to be something, maybe not something warm. I mean, I could eat a cold salad for dinner, but it'd have to be something more than just bread. Of course, bread can be as a side dish kind of thing. To have soup and bread, that's no problem. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's me. I'm strange. Always been, always will be.
Maybe you're strange for a Norwegian, but that sounds perfectly reasonable to me.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah.
Well, and of course, you also do. I mean, you do a lot of seafood, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm glad I married a woman that loves seafood too. So we do seafood for dinner. We also have seafood to put on the bread, like smoked salmon, and
Mm.
we also have mackerel in tomato sauce. That either you love it or you hate it because it's kind of smelly, but I like the smell. Yeah, it's either you like it or not. It's really healthy though with vitamins and stuff like that to have on the bread.
Sure.
But
Well, as long as, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, as long as it's not Surmströmming.
yeah, that's Swedish. We don't do that. I know a couple that bought it when they was in Sweden and they was denied access to the hotel because they had it in their hand when they walked in and was.
Oh,
I don't know if they were going to open it in the hotel, but they wasn't allowed to have it inside the lobby in the hotel. They had to throw it
interesting.
away in the dumpster outside. It's rotten fish in a can.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, we also have that. We have Lutefisk, which is I don't know what's lute in English. Let's say. Hmm. It doesn't translate actually. It's not. It's kind of rotten, but it's not rotten.
yeah, it's
The cod gets some kind of jello texture, but you're supposed to not boil it, but yeah, it's a weird dish, but it's okay.
yeah, it's soaked in lye, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, lie. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, because of course, not this may not be the case in all of the United States, but at least in Minnesota, I think the average person knows what lutefisk is.
Yeah,
At
that's good.
least
That's
knows
good.
the name.
Yeah, it's something that many don't want to try because the rumor about fish that's look like and feels like jello isn't a thing. But if you get it properly, it's firm and it tastes nicely. And of course, you need to have bacon and pea puree on the sides, at least in my case. And I think it's rather delicious with a nice piece of lutefisk during the Christmas holidays.
Sure.
Because it's
It,
a Christmas food, yeah.
it might be something I'd be willing to try now. Although, I mean, my tolerance for eating fish, is something I'm sort of just coming into. For a long time, I did not care for any fish at all.
Yeah, you told me so. Yeah.
Which is, I'm sure, just unthinkable by your standards. But
No, not at all. I know a lot of Norwegians that say they don't like fish. But yeah, have you tasted all fish and cooked in every possible way? I ask, and they still say they don't like fish. So
yeah.
it's not unthinkable.
Well, weirdly, for the longest time, I didn't eat fish, cooked fish, but I have loved sushi for the longest time. So it always
Oh
seemed
yeah.
weird to me that like you give me a piece of like salmon sashimi, and I'm like, oh yeah, but you cook that salmon and it's the grossest thing,
Yeah, that's quite strange. Yeah, I've never tried sushi though. I have
Oh
to
yeah,
admit, I've never tried sushi. That's just something I I don't know why. I've never been offered it, and and I've never even thought about trying it. I think it's yeah. I
because
mean, there's yeah.
I think you even said that in your town you have a place that does sushi, right?
Yeah, and they're pretty good. Those who eat sushi at least say so. It's a nice place, but I've never tried it.
Huh. Yeah, it's one of these days you should. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I hear they say so. But again, I'm not a fan of raw fish like that. I've tried raw fish from that we caught in when I was in the Scouts, Boy Scouts, as you probably call it.
Sure.
We had a canoe trip into a lake, rather big lake actually, and we caught some fish, and we had it with some spices and stuff, and it was yeah, I don't know, but then again, sushi is quite different because you have the rice and the right spices and the soy sauce and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't. Truth be told, I don't really know, what makes a piece of fish, safe to eat raw slash, the right quality for that.
Yeah,
Because, I don't know what the difference is between like salmon sashimi and like literally catching a salmon and, filleting it right there and cutting off a hunk.
yeah, I've read something about that. You have to do something about it. I mean, it's stored raw for a long time. And we all know that storing a raw food for a long time isn't that good. But I know, the same as you, I don't know how it works with fish in the same way,
Yeah.
and how long they store it or what's done with it at all. I read some places that you shouldn't eat this and that kind of sushi because it could be dangerous. But they say that about apples too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You shouldn't eat too many apples. You might get cyanide poisoning.
Yeah, actually, I think I've heard with salmon sushi, which is my favorite variety, that
Yeah.
like it's a somewhat increased risk of like parasites from that or something. But I'm not going to stop eating salmon sushi just because of some parasites,
Yeah, yeah. I feel you. I feel you. I know. The sushi. I don't eat sushi. The smoked salmon has the same consistency, I think, as the raw one, and I love that on bread with some eggs. That's awesome. It's so delicious.
You ever do like a spicy mustard at all with that?
No, I'm not a fan of mustard at all. But I make a mustard marinade on chicken. That's
Mm.
that's awesome. But I'm not a mustard guy, not a mayo guy, not a dressing guy. I'm kind of
That's right.
boring that way. I like it.
Yeah, you like it all dry.
Call it what you want, but I like it plain like that.
Yeah.
Adding the spices myself, kind of. I do eat ketchup on some dishes, most like a dipping kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
I don't. If we have pasta, I rarely use ketchup. Any Italian that might be listening might want to kill me, but I occasionally use some ketchup on the sides to just. I've heard that Italians hate the ketchup on pasta thing that other nations do.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever done that, and
Oh,
I can
you
see
haven't?
why. No, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever done. I don't think I've ever done ketchup with pasta.
Oh,
It
yeah,
sounds.
that's very normal in Norway. You have like spaghetti or macaroni or something, and you have probably some minced meat with something, maybe onions and mushrooms, and then you can have some ketchup on the side.
Huh.
It's you mean you eat pasta with tomato sauce, so
Yeah. I mean, it's not completely, it's not completely, unfathomable that one would do that, but yeah, no, I can't say that that's a common one here.
yeah, I've heard that one too. That and ketchup on pizza.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's very normal here. The ketchup on pizza and mustard on pizza. That's something people eat. I tend to eat
Huh.
some slices with and some slices without ketchup, but not as much. Just one strip or two, just to have that little extra. But they're so different. I mean, pizza is pizza anywhere, but the
Yep.
way it's eaten, it's so different. It's interesting to me at least.
Yeah, no, it's well, and just and sort of, I mean, you kind of use different. I mean, it's interesting because it could be topped in so many different ways, and those toppings can really reflect, what that culture eats.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Like
have lutefisk on pizza. That's a no-go.
Excuse me. Sorry, 1 second here.
Yeah, it's like that these days. The cold are running all over the country, and the viruses. I don't know if you heard about the virus.
Oh, the what? I was not aware there was any sort of virus. Wow.
There's a virus going on. There's been a lot of fuss about it lately.
Been a lot of what about it, you said?
It's been a lot of fuss about it lately.
Oh,
Yeah.
huh. Weird. Think I would have heard of it by now.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, even a town in California has now declared itself independent because of something that was said.
Oh yeah,
it.
what's? Yeah,
Like,
I'm curious to see how that will play out.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Orosville's council adopted a resolution stating it would oppose state and federal orders that it deems to be government overreach. That's taken from theguardian.com. It was news to you. I read it in a Norwegian newspaper, actually. And you haven't heard about it at all.
Yeah, although I've been kind of I think the article was just from yesterday, so I was kind of out of the loop yesterday, so
Yeah. It's no, that was it's probably made yesterday, I think. Does it say anywhere? I don't care. It's quite interesting though that they voted to become a constitutional republic because of the health restrictions imposed by the governor. It's
yeah.
The biggest question I ask is why.
Yeah, it seems like I'm seeing in one of the I'm seeing in the Business Insider's article, they have a quote. The council member Art Hartley, who voted in favor of the resolution, called it a political statement that had absolutely no teeth. So,
yeah, it's so strange. I can't fathom why it is so hard to follow simple rules made for everyone's own good.
Well,
this is very, very harsh topic. People will get mad or stuff about this topic, but I feel it's if people just listen and do as they're told, things often go okay. Especially towards these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is something in the American psyche. I think that if doing what you said, if you just do what you're told, like there's people don't like that. This is the land of freedom.
Yeah, it's freedom, but only if you're rich and stuff. So
yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah,
but when it comes to this, like what it really strikes me as is just a lack of caring about others. That's really what like mask mandates and stuff like that are all about, is protecting others. It provides almost more protection for others than it does for yourself. Yeah,
so, I mean, wearing a mask, people think that it's protecting you. It's rare. It's not that. It's for you not to spit on others and putting your gems on others. Of course it helps you a bit, but it's mostly for you not to spit around and breathe parasites or stuff on others. Not parasites. It's a virus. It's important to note.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest tragedies, at least in the United States, is that we let the pandemic become politicized. Because that's like, the other somewhat recently, I had made a post online somewhere about requiring masks in schools because
you told me that.
My 7-year-old was going back to school, and his district was not going to be requiring masks, and And oh wow, hold on, just the train of thought just
Yeah.
right over the cliff there. Oh gosh.
Yeah, we're talking about they didn't have the mandate on masks.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll have to come back to it because whatever point I was about to make just completely slipped my mind as I was setting it up. I mean,
Yeah, because they didn't have the mandate on masks in the school he went. You of course asked kind of why, right? Why they don't have that and that they should.
yeah, there we go. I now I remember. Yeah, so I'd made a post on one of our local sites saying, hey, contact, anyone that's worried about the fact that there isn't a mandate, contact, the superintendent and make yourself known. And of course, that got a whole bunch of. Well, one of the things that I said as part of it is this is not a political statement. This is whatever.
Oh, but it is.
Oh, but it is. Well, that's what somebody said. But it
Yeah.
is a political statement. And I said, no, at its core, it's really not a political statement. And the fact that we recognize it as one is a tragedy.
Yeah, yeah. As seen from a different country, we just shakes our head and why doing it political? It's all about the political system over there, I think, and people, as you said about the freedom and stuff. But it's not only in the US. That's important to say. I mean, there was some rebellions in Norway too that had they had a rally outside of the Storting, which is kind of the Congress, I think, in the US, where they burned their mosques and had signs and stuff, and it was media and it was stuff like that. It was a couple of days, and then it was just silent. We didn't hear anything. So I think because, I mean, we're how many people is in Minnesota?
I think we have around 3 million-ish.
Yeah, we're like 5+ in Norway in total. So it's easier for the government to, I'm using the total wrong word here, to control the people when
Sure.
it's less people. And with people with strong opinions going out in the media and stuff, there always going to be someone who listens and support it. At least when you're so many people, as in, for example, the US, where you have the freedom of speech and such. You're not hushed down when you say your opinion. You get some support, and then it grows and grows and grows. I think. Am I right, or am I in the wrong?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of I think even among Americans there's a lot of misunderstanding about exactly what freedom of speech entails.
Yeah.
They people don't forget the places like what I think it's like Thailand or
Yeah.
I think Thailand you can get put in jail for saying something insulting about the king. I believe that's Thailand, and I apologize if I've got that wrong.
I also think that was Thailand. He's quite ruthless, I think, as a king.
Yeah. But people seem to think that freedom of speech means they can say whatever they want and suffer no consequences for it.
Yeah.
And that's simply not the case. I mean, it doesn't mean that anyone has to accept what you're saying, and it doesn't mean that non-governmental entities can't punish you for what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because that's all the freedom of speech guarantees, is that you can't be prosecuted, essentially, you can't be persecuted or prosecuted by the government for what you say. But us private citizens, we can react to it in any way that we want.
Yeah, I mean, if I say that I hate people with with brown eyes, of course I'm going to get hate back.
Mhm.
It's I mean, that's logic. If I express something, I must expect to have some bad and good feedbacks.
Mhm.
For me, it's quite logical. But
Yeah.
if your opinion is so strong that you can't see the opponent's view, you probably should go back and think about what you're saying, because there's always two or more sides on a case. If you say that, like we're talking about now, the mandates of masks and stuff, that it's bad. Why is it bad? Why does my opponent think it's good? Try to get as much information as you can about the topics. I think that's quite important, to have a healthy discussion or a debate about things.
Oh, agreed. My fear is that people, I mean, it's almost like a religious thing or a cult thing where it's not about this is my opinion and this is theirs. It's about this is the truth and those
Yeah.
guys are wrong.
This is my opinion, and it's the only opinion that's valuable to anyone. And of course, it's not only to the US. This is the same in every country. But as I said, we're not that much people here, and
Mhm.
you have to scream pretty loud to be heard. In some topics, of course.
Yeah.
We have exactly the same nut jobs and reasonable people in Norway as in US, but it's a much bigger scale in the US. As we say, everything is bigger in the USA.
Yeah, that's fair. And by the way, to correct myself from earlier, Minnesota's population is 5.6 million. So
Okay, so you actually in Minnesota, you're more than in Norway.
yeah, and you know that's always you know the absolute.
In 2020 it was calculated to be 5.3 million people living in Norway.
Yes, USA. No,
Yeah, USA. Yeah.
but no, that's one of the things that always is sort of difficult for me to comprehend, having lived here for all my life, is just sort of the absolute scale of the country.
Yeah.
And the fact that like there are multiple countries that you could drive to in a single day is kind of crazy to me. Like I happen to be close to the northern border, so I could reach Canada, but the next closest one, Mexico, would be at least 24 hours of driving, I think.
Yeah, I remember you told me about going to Iowa, and it was like 5 or 7 hours drive.
Yeah, we're kind of on the Iowa-Illinois border.
Yeah. So and it still took that long. It's kind of mind blowing to me. How because when you look at the map, it's not that it's not that long, but if you zoom in, it's 5 hours. That's a long drive. I don't think I've ever been in a car for that long. I have, but then we traveled like the half the country up.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's well, my mom is afraid to fly for just one of her phobias. So, as a kid growing up, we often did road trips to other states. I think we drove to Florida a couple times, and it takes a couple of days to drive down there.
That's a long drive.
Yeah. Well, and just to also add that travel time, to whatever sort of time off you're taking is tough too, because now if you want to spend a week there, you also have to add 4 extra days for travel.
Yeah. So it's easily 2 weeks off from work and school to have a week of holiday in, for example, Florida. That's
yeah.
I just went on Google Maps now to see from my town and over to Strömstad in Sweden. If you go with a car all the way from my from Kragerø and to Strömstad, it's 3 hours and 18 minutes by car.
Huh.
And that's without the ferry. You can take the ferry too, and it would be longer.
Huh.
And that's to Sweden. We also can have go to Denmark with a boat, and it takes 4 hours. Of course, we can take a boat over to or plane over to England and Great Britain too, but that's the closest countries from the southern part of Norway, at least. So it's just a couple of hours to get to Sweden and Denmark. It's quite interesting to see when you're in Minnesota and you have to drive 5 hours to get to Iowa.
Yeah, and that's a bordering state. I mean, we could, to at least the point in Iowa we were going to.
Of course.
I think you could probably get to the Iowa border from the Twin Cities where I am, in maybe more like 3 hours or so. Yeah,
I see. Yeah. That's within the country.
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah. If you're going to Canada, as you say, Minnesota borders to Canada, so it's not that far to Canada. But try going to Mexico or something. Yeah. That's far. Wow, that's far. You can take Norway and put it inside US many times.
Yeah, you said it was like a 3-hour drive to Sweden there, and to go to Mexico, it's a 3-hour plane flight.
I remember we took the plane to the Canary Islands. We were sat in the plane for 5 hours. It's and the Canary Islands is like in right outside of Africa. You probably know.
Yeah, in the Mediterranean, right?
Yeah. So, it's hard to fathom how big US is, like you said. Is it true that not every, but that many US citizens is so bad in geographical knowledge? Like if you ask them to name 3 countries outside of the US, would it be hard to the normal US citizen? Or is it just something that becomes viral on YouTube and TikTok and stuff?
Well, that's a good question. It really is hard to know how viral, how much of a viral thing it is, or how much.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it's interesting, it gets views, and if it gets views, it gets more views, and it can be just a hoax. It doesn't have to be a truth in it at all. So I'm just curious. I'm not trying to hang out or make someone look stupid or anything. I'm just curious.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just trying to figure out how to answer the question as accurately as I can. I guess it's hard to know personally. I like to think the people that I associate with on a regular basis would have no trouble naming 3 countries. But then I also know there are my countrymen, that think that, Africa is a country or.
Yeah, exactly. But then when I hear stuff like that don't you learn this at school at all? Because some of the people asked are still in school age. And they can't even name like 2 continents. It's yeah.
It is weird. Yeah, I wish I had an answer for that. I mean, I guess I like to count myself, among the well learned sorts.
Yeah.
So and generally speaking, I tend to associate only with, just the people I associate with also tend to be, reasonably intelligent. So
I have to say we're not just super intelligent in Norway. There is people with less intelligence here too.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, stupid people is a universal truth.
Yeah, 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 and the it's yeah. Now it slipped my mind again, like it did with you. Yeah.
There's nothing like recording yourself for like forgetting what you're gonna say.
Yeah, who's thinking about it, and then I listened to what you said, and then it was just completely gone. But we're talking about the difference between the US and Norway, and I feel like you kind of put the US in a bad light. And I don't mean to do that at all, because I'm just so curious about all the differences, because we're pretty much the same people.
Yeah.
It's it's not that different, because but we're doing things quite differently, even though we think quite the same, and we're doing the same thing. I mean, we get up in the morning, we eat breakfast, we go to work, we get home, we eat dinner, we do the same thing. We cry when we're sad, we laugh when we're happy, we listen to music to calm down or get energetic, but still it's so different. It's we're all the same, but so different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, of course, I will say things, derogatory things about my country, because I have my own frustrations about things. But
Yeah, of course, I can list pretty many things that I'm frustrated about in my country too. It's yeah, it's a lot of stupid decisions that are made, and yeah, it's hard to name things on the whim, but there is stuff that irritates me too.
But yeah, sort of like you said, I mean, I think that is one of the really interesting things, though, is, you know, figuring out what those similarities and differences are, and the things, especially the things that are like completely commonplace, that seem strange, to the other one of us, like, ketchup on pasta. That seems
Yeah,
strange to me, but it's commonplace there.
yeah, but it's nothing that make you an enemy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just something I do when I eat. I'm not. Yeah, it's
Well, I mean, to be fair, I guess, if my level of wanting to fight you was at a 0 before you said you put ketchup on your pasta, it might have raised to like a 0.1 a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. It's like if you are hostile in the way you act on a daily basis, you're not going to bring anything good with you. If you approach the day with a positive attitude and that everyone is your friend, you're going to get a lot further. That's really hard to do, though. But I guess it's I don't remember who said it, but I guess many have said it. I said it just recently, but it's I can't remember who I heard it from. It was some stand-up dude, I think. Some of those comedians are really smart.
Mhm. Yeah, I love some good stand-up.
Yeah, stand-up. That's
Do you
universal.
listen? Yeah, do you listen to, when you listen to stand-up, are you listening to it in English or in Norwegian?
Oh, that depends. Like, I love Ricky Gervais, so I've seen his shows, of course, in English. But then again, we have the Norwegian ones. I've listened to. I see them in Norwegian, of course. I think that to be able to appreciate the stand-up, you have to know the English, the language they're talking, because a lot of comedy and humor is built upon how we speak.
Well, yeah, that's why I was curious, because I mean, I know it's jokes in a different language are much more difficult, because there's jokes can have so much nuance to them,
Yeah,
You know,
we're always joking around the language, like things can mean so much with just a little bit of difference. It can mean something that's totally different, and so the joking around the way we pronounce things and the way things are done, it's I don't know if it's done that much in English or if it's just that I don't notice it. I don't know. But I've seen that the Finnish guy, Ismo, I don't know if you've seen him.
I've not.
No, he is joking around with the English language and the difference between Finnish and the American way of talking. It's he took up the word ass, and it was hilarious because he said that's a great ass, whatever, and it's ass is ass. When we learn ass, it's a butt.
Mhm.
So when you use words like that in a different context and you directly translate it, it doesn't have any meaning. It just, what are you talking about?
Oh yeah, no. English is a weird language. I I do not envy you, doing this podcast, having to speak at, I know your conversational English is quite good. I mean, it's
Oh well, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. I wouldn't, it sounds like I'm talking to any other English speaker. But yeah, having to do I'm glad that all of the English is sort of built into my brain so that I don't have to think about it, because if I had to think about it, I don't think I could speak it as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. When we learn English at school, I think I started learning it in 5th grade. My 5-year-old is starting learning now in the 1st grade, and everything, music, TV, movies, and stuff is in English. So it's, of course, the children watching dubbed in Norwegian, but they're starting to learn English at a really young age, and we're reading English all day on phones and stuff. So it becomes kind of natural to maybe not talk, but at least read it. We're talking English at school and stuff. So it's yeah. I mean, if I hadn't talked English since I went in school, I was probably, I wouldn't do this now, I guess. But when we go outside of the Scandinavian borders, it's English or finger language, talking with your hands.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, English has the advantage of being sort of the language of business, I guess, right now. So everyone kind of, it's one language that it's a very common second language, and of course
Yeah.
we're not nearly as good with second languages here. I mean, I think schools do have a language requirement, but our high schools, their language programs are not. You're not gonna walk away from high school Spanish being fluent in it.
Yeah, right.
You'll probably know some vocabulary. Like, there's a very big focus on vocabulary and stuff like that, without maybe addressing some of the really sort of underlying concepts.
Yeah, you learn to be understood, maybe being able to introduce yourself and maybe getting what you want in the different language, but you're not learned how to speak it in 2, 3, 4 years. It takes time to learn how to speak a language.
Mm-hmm. And practice, yeah.
Yeah, I was taught German for 3 years at school. I remember barely nothing.
Yeah.
But but then again, Norwegian and German are not that far from each other in
Mhm.
in writing and talking. Also, English is quite similar too in some ways. So if you have some knowledge about it, it's not that hard to understand what a German man or woman is saying, or it's written in the user manual, for example, which is something I might have to do from time to time.
Oh, sure.
So that, yeah, I mean, why should you learn two different languages in when you're talking English? I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's certainly not the same. There's not quite the same drive for it, but I think the more, I mean, personally, I think the more exposure you have to other languages and cultures, it kind of makes you a more well-rounded individual. And language is a very interesting thing, because it can kind of give you a window into the culture. In a
absolutely.
way.
Yeah, I remember when we had German at school, we learned about how they celebrate, for example, Christmas, and we celebrate Christmas on the 24th, and have the presents and stuff like that. It's quite different from English, and I think they also did it quite different in Germany. It's just simple thing that we learned when we learned the language. And to say it's a cultural difference, we have to kind of know in a way. It's I've never been a language guy. I would love to learn Japanese or Russian or something, but it's I do not have the patience.
Yeah, it can be tough. I'm something of a, I wouldn't say I'm a linguist, but languages are something I've always enjoyed, and Japanese is a very interesting one. Of course, I took that in college for a couple years.
Oh yeah.
So my Japanese is probably my best, second language. Not that I'm anywhere near fluent in it. But of course,
that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's a fun one. Of course, I've forgotten. The hardest part about Japanese is the reading of it, since you've got the kanji alphabet that has, like 2,000 characters, and
yeah,
they're all mostly pretty complicated. I remember a few of them now, but I've kind of forgotten a good portion of them.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 more letters than you, and I couldn't fathom that having 2,000 letters or they're not called letters though.
They're
characters, symbols, or whatever. To learn that, to be able to read and understand. Yeah, I also see it's not called the Russian alphabet, but you know what I mean. It's also so different.
The Cyrillic alphabet, I think, is
yes,
what you call
it. Right.
Yeah,
it's also so different. So managing to learn a language like that, it's you have to be dedicated, I think.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it's tough to know. I don't know if Russian is, has sort of one-to-one equivalency in terms of, this character is more or less, this letter in English or in Norwegian.
Some letters are, but then again, someone is not. So it's you have to twist your brain all around you have to pretend you don't know them, I think. But then again, I haven't learned it. I just picked something up here and there.
Oh yeah. Well, Japanese is really interesting because they have 3 different alphabets. Which
3 different alphabets. Okay, yeah, because one isn't enough.
One of them is kanji, which is what sort of people traditionally think of, which is like a kind of a symbolic one, a lot of symbols and a lot of individual meanings to characters. And then they have 2 sort of more what we, Westerners might think of as an alphabet, where it's just the symbol has a sound and no specific meaning associated with it.
Yeah, right, because they have symbols for entire words and probably sentences too, right? Kind of.
Yeah, at least for words. And Japanese is a very, it's, they say there are languages that that place a heavy burden on the speaker to make sure they're understood, and there's languages where it's the listener's, duty to interpret things, and Japanese is one of the latter. So it's a lot of the times what you might say something very, very shorthand, with some sort of implied words that are up to the listener to get. The other interesting thing about it is with their alphabetic alphabets, each character is actually a syllable. It's not like ours where you've got sort of consonants and vowels that combine in different ways.
Yeah.
It's every single character is basically translated as a consonant and a vowel, and then they have characters for each of the vowels.
Yeah,
So
it sounds like a full-time job to learn that thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that one's much easier because there you've only got something. You really only have about like 30 characters to learn in each of the alphabets. And those are a lot easier to retain. Although I find with lack of practice, my memory of some of them is fading a bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you don't talk Japanese or write Japanese each week, of course you will forget it. But then again, if you try to get into it again, you will. I think you will get into it quite quick, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first part's easy, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, he tried to learn Japanese, and he also looked into a course you could take it. I think it was about 5,000 Norwegian krones for a course. That's about $580 by today's currency.
Okay.
For a course to learn Japanese, that's yeah, it's not for me, I think. Even though I want to, but I don't think I would be dedicated enough to actually manage to learn it.
Yeah, that's where you got to use a site like Duolingo. Is I've at least a way to get your feet wet.
Yeah, I've tried
I
it,
studied it.
but I tried it on the Japanese. But then again, I wasn't dedicated enough. I have too much to do to set time off to do language at this time. I think it's not my first priority.
Yeah, when you've got two kids and a full-time job and a mortgage and all that stuff, it's funny your time for learning languages just sort of seems to evaporate a bit.
Yeah, it's strange like that. It's strange. It's really strange. When you talk about mortgages, how does that work in the US? I mean, you it feels like to me when I read about it that you are able to pay it off quite quickly. Like when you're buying a house, you pay X amount for that, and it quite quickly you're able to pay it off. We have a mortgage here, and we have a payment plan for about 30 years.
Yeah, no, actually, it's the same here. I think 30-year mortgages are sort of the usual.
Oh yeah.
And a ton of the money that you actually pay ends up going just to cover the interest on that mortgage.
Yeah, exactly the same here. It's too much money going directly to the bank.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the idea of actually like saving up enough just to buy a house is, basically unheard of. Unless you are a very wealthy individual.
Yeah, I see. How much money? Here it is. At least when we bought our house 6 years ago, we had to have like 10 or 12% of the house either saved up, or maybe someone could sign the paper that they would support it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, we call it a co-signer.
Yeah, that's almost what is called in Norwegian too, that if we are not able to pay down our loan, they will go to those who sign that letter. We need this. We had a loan about 2.1 million, I think, Norwegian kronas, about $200,000 ish, and we had to get a co-signer for about 600 of those.
Yeah,
It's insane.
Yeah, I imagine. I don't know. I imagine it must be possible to do things with a cosigner here, but because I know at least for like renting apartments you can. I don't know if you can for mortgages though.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, there's kind of a whole process here that I don't fully understand.
Yeah, same.
You can you can get a mortgage, theoretically with any down payment. I think depending on what your credit rating is, and your income level and stuff like that. But I believe if you're doing less than 20% of the house's value as a down payment, then you end up paying more for like I think it's mortgage insurance or something like that. And I think that's maybe partially because of the whole, in 2007, 2008, we had a big recession, due to real estate inflation, basically that bubble bursting because of a whole bunch of bad mortgages.
Yeah, it was something every country, I think, noticed. It wasn't really a good time, I guess. I think it was also when the oil started to lose its value here in Norway and people started losing their job.
Sure.
But now it's on the way up again, so I think it's rather okay.
Now, out of curiosity, Norway is obviously an oil-producing country.
Yeah.
What sort of, but of course, oil is, I think, whether or not people want to admit it, hopefully on its way out. How are they doing with like renewables and stuff like that?
Oh, people are stupid. Oh my God. There was I heard, I don't know if it was bullshit, but some dude meant we should try because we're getting like billions of dollars in the government money because of the oil, and someone tried to make people believe that art was the new oil for Norway. How is that going to work? Art, yes, we have some paintings from Munch and stuff like that. Scream, for example, and Madonna, painted by Munch. But yeah, it's not the which is stupid. But then again, they try. We have the fish, but again, then again, it's not going to give us billions.
Yeah.
But of course, we have the waterfalls, and we have tourism, and we have someone are really trying to make the green energy a thing. But it's hard because people don't want windmills. They don't want these machines that can do waves into electric powers. They don't want those close to the land. So it's quite hard. Though we haven't used much of the money. The oil money is it's quite much. We're getting, I don't know how much money Norway has in oil now, but to be able to find something that can replace the oil in that fashion, I don't think it's going to work at all. When the oil is up and we stop drilling, something that will happen really soon, I think we're seeing the descent of Norway really fast. Really fast. Because before we found oil, Norway was one of the poorest countries in Europe.
Really?
Yeah. Now we're one of the richest countries in the world. It happened approximately overnight. It was, Norway was really, really, really poor even before the First and Second World War. And then in the 50s we found oil, and we bloomed.
Yeah, and funny how that works.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens. I mean, I hope you'd like to think that even if the oil runs out, a country that has gotten so much wealth from it can figure out ways to leverage that wealth into more wealth.
Yeah, it's insane. I tried to calculate now. I was into the oil to see how much money there was now in the fund. It was I can't even understand how it's so many numbers. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jeez.
It's 13 numbers together. It's
Oh wow.
yeah, it's like 11 trillions 900 or 967 billions 685 million. It's you don't understand how much money it is.
Yeah.
It's it's ridiculous. No one should have that much money. Why do they have so much money? It's not healthy for anyone, not even the country. Not even the country.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you and I have been rambling on now for an hour and a half or so. So I think maybe it's time we kind of wrap things up for today. I don't know that we'll always go this long.
No, neither do I. But we didn't hit many topics today. We talked about food, languages, a bit the COVID, of course, and the bit of money, the cultural differences, and there is like thousands more topics to go through.
Yeah. And I think a part of it too, we should mention, I think this morning is the first time that Martin and I have actually spoken to each other.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Yeah.
So there's, I think, a little more, there's a backlog of discussion items just from that.
Yeah, there is only so much you can do through texting and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough to get into a real deep discussion on something, when you're using the little phone keyboard, which I'm still terrible at. Technically I'm a millennial, I think, but I'm a terrible millennial.
Yeah. Sometimes I figure myself as a terrible millennial too. Like, it's hard to express yourself through text.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier when you have the feelings in your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at yours.
Yeah, we're just 10 minutes to 9 here.
Yeah.
You got to get dinner ready, yeah?
Yeah, I'm supposed to make dinner now, really soon. The people.
What are you having tonight?
I don't know actually. It's either spaghetti or something in one pot, some stew of some sort. I think I'll do the spaghetti tonight. It's easy.
Gotcha.
It's easy. Yeah. So there's some minced meat, some onions and mushrooms, and some tomato sauce and some spaghettis.
Some ketchup?
No, not for me. I have the tomato sauce. I don't need 2 tomato sauce. I'm that simple.
Hey, nothing like that.
And what are you having? It's a long way to dinner for you, but
well,
you have a plan.
Our big meal today is we're going to be leaving in a little while to go to my parents.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and we're going to make the traditional American meal of wontons, which are obviously not a traditional American meal. We do with like meat and vegetables in the wonton skin, and then you fry them. It's really good.
Yeah, I don't think I have that one before. No, I have not tried those before at all. It's like some Asian dish, really.
Yeah. I think originally it started because my sister is adopted from South Korea.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we started originally. But you might think of it as like almost like a samosa, I think is what you'd call it in like Mediterranean food or.
I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to cook, or is it your mom's?
We will. I will help fold because that's the big thing. Is they'll cook. My parents will probably cook everything, and then we'll take the skins and put the meat in, and get them all folded up, because that's somewhat labor intensive. And then
Yeah.
my dad will fry them, and
So it's like a family cookout thing.
yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it
And my,
sounds
my
fun.
wife really likes it. That's been one thing she's really enjoyed. A tradition of my family's.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
But as you said, we'll be talking now. I see the recording here for 1 hour and 16 minutes and counting. That's a long while for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe we should just say I don't know what are we planning to do for future episodes.
The topics, if anyone has any topics, if anyone is listening, we could ask them to come with topics they want us to talk about.
Yeah.
That would be cool. If someone has anything they want us to discuss, it would be awesome to get some inputs.
Yeah, and you can go. We have a subreddit, which I'm sure we will put in the comments or in the description.
Yeah, and we'll put it on the screen too, I guess.
But it's just for those listening through some other way. It's Reddit. It's reddit.com, of course, /r/. Let's talk about that, and that's with 2 H's. So EHH. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, correct. And that just write in there whatever you want. Use the Redicat, as it's called. Be nice to other people and just go ahead and write whatever you want. And we'll look through it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll let you all go for this week, and we'll see you hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, hopefully.